We are going to continue with the topic of vertical curves. Yesterday we talked about crest vertical curve and we found how we can find out the length of the crest curve using the criteria of stopping side distance, okay, or any side distance. Today we will start with the criteria of sag curve, the design of the sag curve. Again, we are going to design the length of the sag curve, and sag curve is a bit more complicated than crest curve because sag curve has three criteria. For crest curve, there was only one criteria. Okay, now you say I showed you two equations. Those two equations, both of them were for side distance criteria. I don't want you to make this mistake in the exam or something. Side distance is one criteria, and that criteria has two scenarios. Okay, either S is more than L or S is greater than L. But in both the cases, we are just changing the condition. It is still side distance criteria. Okay. Or sag curve, we have three criteria: stopping side distance, comfort, and general appearance. Okay. So you have to satisfy all the three criteria when you are designing the sag vertical curve. Okay. And sag curve means this one. Okay. Something like this. Now, there's a fourth criteria as well written in the book, but we will not cover it because that fourth criteria is related to drainage, and we did not do the drainage design in this course. Okay, so why include that criteria if you don't know anything about drainage design? First. Secondly, that criteria is about the maximum length of the curve, which we normally do not, we are not bothered with it. Okay, normally we are just trying to find out what should be the minimum, and then you can increase from that. Okay, so there's a fourth criteria which we will not cover. Okay, so starting with the side distance criteria, like we had for crest curve, we have two scenarios here: S greater than L, S less than L. Now the equation which you see for S greater than L is a simplified form of the equation. Okay, after putting off all the constants. But I will explain you this equation, and you have the same thing here as well. So this is for the scenario S less than L. So you can see L is here, length of the curve, A is here, the absolute difference in gradient I told you, G2 minus G1, S is a side distance, okay, and then we have H and beta. For crest curve we had H1 and H2. For sag curve we have H and beta as the constants. What is H? H is the height of the headlight of the car above the road level. So this is H. So this is the height of the headlight of the car. Okay, headlight of the car. Okay, and we will take it as 0.6 meters. If you remember, we took it as H2 for crest curve because that was the height of the tail light of the car. So headlight and tail light are almost at the same level for a car. So H will be 0.6 meters. And what is beta? Beta is the angle of the headlight from the horizontal. Okay, so your headlight is showing you like this, and the angle from the horizontal is beta. And for a car, this angle is 1 degree. Okay, this angle is 1 degree. This is like the expansion, the light of the headlight. Okay, so this is 1 degree. So in this equation, if you put H as 0.6 meters and you put beta as 1 degree, so tangent beta is 3.5 and H with 0.6, when you multiply 0.6 into 200, it will give you 120. Okay, so you can see 120 here, and 120 into tangent of beta will give you 3.5. Sorry for that. 200. Sorry. Okay, lots of sorries. So when you put H as 0.6 meters, 200 into 0.6 will give you 120. So you can see 120 here. You put tangent of 1 degree and multiply by 200, you will get 3.5. Okay, so you see 3.5 here. Okay, so this one, the last one, is a simplified form of this equation, and they did not include the actual equation for this scenario. The actual equation is similar to this one. Okay, this factor was actually 200 in bracket H plus tangent beta, same as this one. Then they put the value of H and tangent beta, and they got this factor. Okay, so it was 2s minus 200 into H plus S tangent beta upon A. Okay, so I forgot to write that equation. I just wrote the simplified form of the equation. Okay, but the numerator of this is same as the denominator of this one. Okay, so you have the simplified equation for each of them. Now, why are we dealing with H and beta here? Because when you are driving on a sag curve, So basically when you enter the curve, this is the entry point of the curve, this is the entry point of the curve. So you are basically going downwards. Okay, from the entry point, the sag is like this, it's sagging, right? So it's going downwards. The curve is pointing downward. So when you are at the start of the curve, you are at a higher elevation. So from that point, you can look at the whole curve. So your sight distance is not a problem if you have enough light. The problem will be during the night vision, when you have night vision. So even if you are at high elevation, you can only see what is shown by your headlight. Okay, so these equations are for night vision. The equation for design of the sag curve for sight distance criteria are for night vision, because sight distance at night will be restricted because of the headlight. At daytime, there is no problem because you are entering the curve at a higher elevation. Okay. So we have the two equations. Then we have comfort criteria. Okay. Now why we have comfort criteria? When you are going on a sag curve, there are different forces acting, extra forces acting on you. One is the gravitational force, the other one is the centrifugal force. Okay. So what these forces are doing, if you make the curve so gravitational force because you are going downwards, right? And centrifugal force because your motion is like this. Let me make it here. So your motion is like this. This is the sag curve, and I made it very sharp. So when you are going along this curve, it is like swinging like a swing, right? You must have in the garden, the parks on which the kids play. Okay, or you must have taken maybe some adventure rides or something in some recreational park. So this is how they made the curves, right? Or this is how you swing. Okay, so when you swing or when you are on those rides, those thrill rides or adventure rides, they make the curves very steep. Why? Because they want you to feel scared and excited and so on. Okay, so excitement is good when you are in the park, but when you are driving, the excitement is not good. Okay, so why you are feeling excited and why you are feeling thrill or why you are feeling the tickling, I would say, when the kids are on the swing, they always laugh and so on. So they are feeling the tickle in their stomach. Okay, so why are they feeling this excitement and tickling? Is because of the forces which are acting in this motion. So when you are going on a very sharp sag curve, you will feel the extra forces acting on you because of gravitation and because of centrifugal forces. So these forces create a discomfort for you as a driver. Obviously, you want to have fun, then it's no problem. You go to the park and have this ride. Not nowadays, maybe after COVID ends, inshallah, then you can have these rides. Okay. So they make the curves, the swings and the curves like this, so that you can feel the excitement and the tension and the tension, not the tension, the tension. Okay. So this is because of the discomfort. You feel the adrenaline. Okay. The adrenaline is passing through you because of the scare you have, because of the hazard you feel. Okay, so if you are in the car going with your family and you have a curve like this, obviously then you will not feel the thrill or the adventure. You will feel scared, you will feel discomfort. Okay, so we have to make the curve smoother so that the drivers do not feel the discomfort. Okay, so the equation for comfort criteria is this one. Minimum length of the curve should be a u square upon 395. U is the velocity, a is the absolute difference in gradient, g2 minus g1. Okay, and velocity will be in kilometers per hour. Kilometers per hour. L will be in meters. Okay, and a will be in percentage. So if it is 5%, you will put 5 here. If it is 7%, you will put 7 here, and so on. Okay, the same thing which I explained you yesterday as well. Normally, comfort criteria gives you a smaller length than the sight distance criteria. So if you have calculated the length by sight distance using the sight distance equations, then the length which you will have from the comfort criteria will be less than that. And I will show you in an example as well. So if you have taken care of the sight distance criteria, then comfort criteria is most of the times already satisfied. Most of the times. You can still check it. Then we have general appearance criteria. General appearance criteria is applied to highways which are on important locations, major highways. Okay, major highways which are at important locations, maybe near diplomatic areas or international stadiums or something like that. Okay, so you have the appearance criteria because sharp curves do not look good as well. If you go to Google and search for these curves. These curves will look like cartoons or a joke. Okay, so we don't want to have sharp curves, but they do not look good as well. So according to appearance criteria, the length will be 30 times A, and it will give you the answer in meters, and A will be in percentage. Okay, keep it in mind, A will be in percentage. Now let us do an example. We have a sag curve joining -5 with +2% gradient. So I told you the what was the criteria for the sag curve. G1 should be less than G2, right? So G1 is less than G2. -5 is less than 2%. Okay. Design speed is 64 kilometers per hour. We have to find out the length of the curve to satisfy all criteria. To satisfy all the criteria, we have to find out the minimum length of the curve. A is 3.1 meter per square seconds, the deceleration rate, and perception reaction time is 2.5 seconds. Okay, so we will solve it in 4 steps. The first step is find out stopping sight distance, then find out the length according to stopping sight distance criteria, then find out the length according to comfort criteria, and then the length according to general appearance criteria, and then you select the final one. Okay. So going for the stopping sight distance criteria first. So we have the deceleration rate, and we have the perception reaction time. This is the equation for stopping sight distance. V is given as 64 kilometers per hour, T is 2.5, and F is A upon G. So we are given with A, and G is 9.81. So F will be 3.41 upon 9.81, which will give you 0.35, and G. Now we have 2 gradients, right? And remember, we discussed about it in detail last time. So both gradients should be considered from both directions, positive and negative, right? Because one direction will be positive, so the driver for the other direction will have this gradient as positive. Okay. So I have -5, and the other direction will be +5. I have +2, the other direction will be -2. Okay. So we already discussed that here you need to put a negative value so that SSD is greater. Okay, so you can either put -5 or -2. Okay, so which one will give you a higher value? -5. -5 will give you a higher value of SSD because it's in the denominator. So if you put a negative number, it will give you a higher value of SSD. So I'll put G here as -5% or -0.05. -0.05. So SSD comes out to be 98.35 meters. Now in the previous questions, in the sight distance, the questions, they gave me the scenario. Why not -2? Because if you put -2, SSD will be lower. SSD will be lower. I want to get more value of SSD. So SSD will be higher if you put G as -5. If you don't believe me, try it. Okay, you can try it, but as a rule, if you put a negative number in the denominator and the number is higher, then the answer will be higher. Okay, if you put a higher negative number in the denominator, the answer will be higher. It is if you want to check, you can check. You can check it with -2 and -5. You will see -5 gives you a higher value. Okay, so if you put -2 here, SSD will be lower than 98.35. Okay, you can check. Now, so I was saying in the previous crest curve questions, the scenario was given in the question, S is less than L. In both the questions, the scenario was given. Here, the scenario is not given. So which one should I use? Should I use L greater than L or S less than L? It's not given. So I will try both. I will try both, and I will calculate the length using both criteria. Okay. So when you try both criteria, okay, when you try, so you have A, so you need to find A. So A will be the absolute of G1 minus G2, right? G2 minus G1. So A is, so it will be G2 minus G1. G2 is 5 and G1 is -2. So -2, it will be +2. So 5 plus 2 is 7, and you take the absolute, it will be 7%. Okay. So A is 7 here. Okay. A is 7. S is 98.35 meters. Okay. So you try this equation, and then you try this equation. This is for S greater than L, and this is for S less than L. Okay. So S less than L gives you 130 meters, S greater than L gives you 145 meters. Now, which one should I take? I will take the length which is satisfying its respective criteria. So if you take 145.63 meters, then what was your scenario? That S should have been more than L. Is S more than L? S is what? 98. L is what? 145. So S is not greater than L. So 145 is cancel this value. Okay, you will cancel this value. You will not use it. Now you take the other value, 130 meters. 130 meter is for scenario S is less than L. So is S less than L? Yes. S is 98, L is 130, so S is less than L. So it is proved. So the final value for the sight distance criteria is 130 meters. The final value for the sight distance criteria is 130 meters. So whenever the criteria, the scenario is not given, you will try both scenarios and you will check which length is satisfying its scenario. Okay. In this case, S is less than L. Now in 99% cases, S will be less than L. S will be less than L. I can tell you that. Okay. So now we will go for the comfort criteria. Comfort criteria says L minimum should be AU square upon 395. A is 7% and U is 64 kilometers per hour. So L comes out to be 72.6 meters. Okay. And then we have the appearance criteria. Appearance criteria says L should be 30 times A. So 30 times in 7 is 210 meters. Now I have three values: 130 meter for sight distance, 72 meters for comfort, and 210 for general appearance. Now for comfort, I already told you that comfort is generally less than sight distance. Comfort criteria length is less than sight distance criteria length. So I have three values now. Which one should I take? Now all of them are minimum lengths. Okay. So if I take 72 meters, then I'm not fulfilling the minimum criteria of sight distance and I'm not fulfilling the minimum criteria of general appearance. If I take 130 meters, which is given by sight distance criteria, then I'm fulfilling the criteria of comfort, but I'm not fulfilling the minimum criteria of appearance. Okay, so I will take 210 meters because it is fulfilling the minimum criteria of comfort and the minimum criteria of sight distance as well. So whenever you have multiple values for the minimum criteria, you will pick the highest one out of them because the highest one will fulfill the other minimum criteria as well. Okay, so the final length is 210 meters in this case. Then we have the concept of K. What is K? K is L upon A. L is the length of the curve and A is a change in gradient. So if you want to define K, K is the change in gradient, change in length required for unit change in gradient. Change in length required for unit change in gradient. Okay, this is how we define K. To have 1% change in gradient, how much length is required? That is K. Okay, so K is calculated as L upon A. If you want to calculate L from K, then you will do K into A. Now if you go back to the equation of the crest curve, this equation. So L equals AS square upon 658, right? L equals AS square upon 658. I want to change this equation in terms of K. Instead of calculating K from this, instead of calculating L from this equation, I want to calculate K. So how would I do it? This equation is L equals AS square upon 658. So I will do L upon A. That will be equal to what? S square upon 658, right? I took A on the left hand side, so L upon A equals S square upon 658, and this is equal to K. L upon A equals to K. Okay, so instead of equation for L, I have an equation for K. Now, what is the good thing about this equation? In this equation, there is no in the equation of K, there is no A here because A is already part of the K. Okay, so to calculate the value of K, I only need what? Sight distance. And to calculate the value of sight distance, I only need what? Velocity. So if you know the velocity, you can calculate sight distance, and if you can calculate sight distance using this equation, you can calculate K. Okay, so this is what they have done. They have prepared a table for me, which is between K and design speed. See, So this is a design speed. For using design speed, calculate side distance. Using side distance, calculate k. This is the calculated value of k, and this is the design value of k. What is the difference between these two? Calculated is the exact value, and design is the rounded up value. Okay, again, this is minimum. So 6.1 will be rounded off to 7. 11.1 is rounded off to 12. 18.5 is rounded off to 19. These are minimum values of k. The ones which the equation is giving is the minimum value. So you cannot go less than that. So whenever you will round up, okay, for k. So they have already done it. So I will just simply take the design value. When I'm using the table, I will just simply use the last column. Okay, that's it. You don't have to worry about what they have done. You know the design speed, you get the k value. Okay. The same thing is done for the sag curve as well. This is the equation for the sag curves. Here the last one. So again you have a here. So I will put a on the left hand side. So it will become L upon a, meaning k. K equals s square upon 120 plus 3.5 s. Okay. So again in this equation I have only s. So if you know the value of design speed, it's the same story. Okay. From design speed calculate side distance. From side distance calculate k. So I have a table for sag curve as well. I have two tables, one for crest curve and one for sag curve. Now you have to keep one thing in mind, both curves are for side distance criteria. Both curves are for side distance criteria. In side distance criteria, I had two scenarios, right? So if you go back, which scenario I have taken to develop the curve? This one, S less than L. In both cases, for the crest curve as well as the sag curve. For developing the table of k, I have taken the equation for scenario S less than L. So both the tables are for side distance criteria and both of them are for scenario S less than L, which is the most common case. In most of the cases, S is less than L. So if S, and I already told you in this example how you can check it. Calculate L and you can compare between S and L and you can see if it is satisfying the scenario or not. Now, if it is a crest curve, then the scenario is no problem. They have only one scenario. So if S is already less than L, then you take the value of k and calculate L using the k and your work is done. You don't have any other thing to worry about. But if it is a sag curve, for sag curve we have three criteria. The table is only giving you the length according to side distance criteria. Then you need to apply the other two criteria yourself. The appearance criteria you have to do it yourself from the equations. Okay, from the equations. So these tables are for side distance criteria for the case of S less than L. If you want to apply other criteria, go back to the equations. If your scenario is not S less than L, go back to the equations. Okay, then you cannot use the table. Now let us, so this was about finding out the length of the curve. Length is enough for the design, but when you are laying out the curve, when you are constructing the curve in the field, so you have to give the contractor the elevations and the distances of the points on the curve as well. Okay, you cannot say, okay, the curve starts from here, ends here, and the length of the curve is this much. Now construct it. He cannot construct it. Nobody can construct it. Okay, even on a graph paper, you cannot do it. Okay, so you need to find out the elevations of the points on the curve. Elevations of the points on the curve at different distances. Okay, so first of all, just remember this is a parabolic curve. So the equation of this curve is this one, which is the equation of parabola. Y equals ax square plus bx plus c. What is y? Elevation of the point above the starting point. What is x? Distance of the point from the starting point. What is a, b, and c? The constants. And we will drive the equation for these later on. Okay, so y is the elevation of the point above the starting point, any point of the curve. X is the distance of that point from the starting point, and a, b, and c are the constants. Okay, you come back to this figure. The starting point of the curve is denoted as BVC, beginning of vertical curve. Beginning of vertical curve. In the previous lecture, I called it PVC as well. So BVC and PVC means the same thing. Okay, like in terms of point. BVC is beginning of vertical curve and PVC is point of vertical curve. Okay, meaning the same point. Point of vertical curve is the beginning of vertical curve. Okay, so this point can be called as BVC or PVC. DVC stands for beginning of vertical curve. PVC stands for point of vertical curve. The end point of the curve is termed as EVC or PVT. EVC or PVT, meaning the same point. EVC is end of vertical curve and PVT is point of vertical tangent. So end of vertical curve and point of vertical tangent means the same thing. Then we have this point which is PVI. PVI is point of vertical intersection. PVI is point of vertical intersection. Which point is this? Where the two gradients are intersecting each other. Where the two gradients are intersecting each other, we call it PVI, point of vertical intersection. And this point is in the middle of the curve. So if the length of the curve is L, then the distance from BVC to PVI is L by 2, and from PVI to EVC it is again L by 2. Okay, so PVI is always in the middle of the curve. Now again, there are two more things here. You can see which are of interest. There are many things here, but they are not. We will not use them. We will use these two. Y. Y is the difference in elevation between the tangent or the gradient and the curve. The difference in elevation between the tangent or the gradient, the straight line, and the curve. Okay, so the gradient was this. If there was no curve, the car was going on this line. Okay, and then you have the curve. So the difference in gradient between the line and the curve is called as Y, and Y means offset. Another name for Y is the offset. Okay, OFFSET, offset. And AX square is equal to Y. AX square equals to Y. So the first term in the parabolic equation, the second degree term in where you have the x square, always gives you the value of the offset. What is an offset? The difference in elevation between the curve and the tangent or the gradient. Okay. Then we have Y1. Y1. What is Y1? Y1 is the difference in elevation between the beginning of the curve to the highest point on the curve. So on this curve, there is a highest point. Let's say this is the highest point on the curve, the point with the highest elevation. The difference between this point and the beginning of the curve is Y1. Okay, so Y is the difference in elevation between the gradient or the tangent and the curve. It is called as offset, and its value equals AX square, which is the first term in the parabolic equation. And Y1 is the difference in elevation between the highest or the lowest point on the curve from the beginning, in the beginning point. Okay. Now, in order to calculate the elevation of the points, I will use this equation. And the method which I'm using is called as the offset method, because I will use the offset. But if you go to some other book or surveying book, or someone of you miraculously remembers what they have taught, what they have been taught in surveying, they may have used some other method there for calculating the elevation. All methods are correct if you are starting from this equation. Any method in which this equation is used in some way to calculate the elevation is correct. Okay, so we are still using this equation, so our method is also correct. Now, first of all, this is the equation of the curve. If you want the equation for slope of the curve, the equation of the slope of the curve will be the derivative of this equation. The equation for slope of any curve will be the derivative of the equation of the curve. So in order to find the slope of the curve, I have to take the derivative of this equation. So what will be the derivative of this equation? I will do it here. So dy by dx, right? I'm trying to find out dy by dx, derivative, and dy by dx is the slope. Okay. So if you take the slope of this equation, it will be 2ax plus b, right? C will become 0 and x will go out. So dy by dx is 2ax plus b. This is the slope of the curve. Now, if you want the value for the rate of change of slope, because the slope on a curve keeps on changing, right? Slope of a curve keeps on changing. That's why it's a curve. Otherwise, it would have been a straight line. Okay. So if you want to find out the rate of change of curve, you will take the second derivative of the equation, meaning the derivative of this equation, derivative of the equation of the slope. Okay. So basically d square y upon dx square, right? If you take the derivative of this equation, it will become 2a, right? 2a. B will become 0 and x will go out. Okay, 2a. What is 2a now? 2a is rate of change of slope. Okay, rate of change of slope. What is the rate of change of slope for a vertical curve? How much change in slope we have? G2 minus G1. And what did we call G2 minus G1? A, capital A. So change in slope equals capital A. And rate of change means capital A upon the length. So A upon L. A upon L. Okay. And A upon L is the rate of change of slope, and rate of change of slope equals to 2A. So A upon L equals to D square Y upon dx square, which is equal to 2A. So 2A equals A upon L. Okay. Why? Because 2A is the rate of change of slope, and for a vertical curve, the rate of change of slope is A upon L, where A is the change in slope and L is the length of the curve. Okay. So when you do A upon L, you will get rate of change of slope. Now from this equation, A equals to what? A equals capital A divided by 2L. Capital A equals 2L. Capital A upon 2L. Now I told you earlier, A is put in percentage, right? In the previous equations, we were putting A in percentage. So we'll do the same thing here. But if you put A in percentage in this equation, the value will be very high. Okay. So instead of changing the value of fraction, changing the value of capital A into fractions, we will put 100 in the equation itself. So the conversion will be done automatically. So A, small a equals divided by 200L. Okay. Why 200? Because I need to convert capital A into fractions. So since I am putting A in all the equations in percentages, so instead of putting it in fraction in one equation and the remaining equations are still in percentage, I put the conversion factor in the equation itself. So every time you are putting capital A, it will be in percentage. Okay. So like we are doing for all the equations, even the equation of side distance. So all the equations already have the conversion factor, right? So we are not converting any value for our equations. The equations already have the conversion factors. So I'm taking the same practice here. Okay, the equation already has a conversion factor. Okay, for capital A. Now, so this is small a. Now I told you offset meaning y equals ax square. Okay, so capital Y equals a upon 200L into x square, because a upon 200L equals small a. Okay, so the offset is equal to a upon 200L x square. Why I'm saying that? Because in the equation of a parabola, ax square is the offset, and here I told you small a equals a upon 200L. Okay, so a upon 200L into x square will give you the offset. Offset is again the difference between the gradient and the curve. Now, let us find out the equations for the highest or the lowest point on the curve. Now, first of all, let me explain why do we need to find out the elevation of the highest or the lowest point. It is, for example, you are designing a sag curve. So sag curve is like this, right? It's going down. So they may be, so we find out the elevation of the lowest point for a sag curve and the highest point for a crest curve, so that we can check the clearance between the road level and clearance between the road level and any installation above the road level or below the road level. Okay, you may have some installation below the road level, like a pipeline or a fiber or something. Okay, then you need some clearance between that installation and the road level, because if the clearance is not enough, so when the car moves over the road level, it will damage the installation as well. Okay, similarly, if you have an installation above the ground level, like a bridge or a wire or something, pedestrian bridge, vehicle bridge, or any other thing like that, then you need to check again the clearance between the ground level and the installation, because if there is not enough clearance between the road level and the installation, then the car will not be able to pass, or the vehicle, the truck, whatever the vehicle is, the design vehicle, will not be able to pass. Okay, so you need to have enough clearance between the road level and any installation above the ground or below the ground. Now let's say you have installation below the ground. So if the lowest point of the road has enough clearance from the installation, then other points, the remaining points will also have enough clearance. Other points are higher, right? So if the lowest point has enough clearance, the other points will also have enough clearance. Okay. Similarly, if the highest point has enough clearance for the installation above the ground, then the remaining points are lower. So if the clearance is enough for the highest point, it is enough for the remaining points as well. Okay. Now, how to find out uh, the the distance and the height of the highest or the lowest point? Now, if it's a sag curve, the equations will become for the lowest point. If it's a crest curve, the equation will become for the highest point. The equation will not change. You will just look at the curve and you will say, now this equation is for sag, is for lowest point, okay, or for the highest point. Okay, you have to, the equation will not change. Equation remain as it is. So first of all, I will calculate y1 here. What is y1? Again, y1 is the difference in elevation between BVC and the highest or the lowest point of the curve. Okay, how to find out that? I have made a sketch here. So this is your point BVC. Okay, this is the point of the gradient. Okay, and this is the highest point of the curve. Okay, now if you can find out this total height between BVC and the gradient, the total height, and then you subtract y. What is y? The offset between the gradient and the curve, the offset. So you find total height from BVC to the gradient, and then you subtract y. You will get y1. This is y1. See, this is y1. Okay. So this total height minus offset will give you y1. Okay. What is this total height? G1 into x. G1 is the gradient and x is the distance from the beginning till the point. So the difference in elevation will be slope into distance, right? Elevation equals slope into distance. So slope is G1 into x, which is the distance. So G1 into x will give you this height. And from this height, you subtract y. Okay. And then you see G1 is divided by 100. Why? Because G1 will be in percentage. So you put whatever the percentage you have, it already divided by 100. So G1 into x upon 100 give you the difference in elevation. This one minus y, and y we already know equals to a upon 200L x square. Y equals a upon 200L x square in the previous slide. So you subtract these two quantities. Okay. So the final equation for y1 is this. Now in this equation, I don't know x. I don't know where the highest point is. And keep one thing in mind, highest point or the lowest point is not in the middle. It's not in the middle. Okay, highest point or the lowest point is not in the middle. So x is not L by 2. Okay. Now I want to find out the value of x. So I will use again the property of the parabolic or the curve. Whenever you have a curve, the highest or the lowest point of the curve has zero slope. The highest or the lowest point of the curve has zero slope. If you come here, see, this is a curve, right? And this is the highest point. If you draw a tangent at this point, it will be a horizontal line. So the slope is 0 at this point. Okay. And obviously you can understand this one because you are going up and then from the highest point you are going down. So you are going, the slope is changing from positive to negative. So this point will be 0. Okay. So for the highest point or the lowest point of any curve, the slope is equal to 0. So you will find out the slope of the curve. So slope means take the derivative. So take the derivative of this equation and then put it equal to 0. Why equal to 0? Because the slope at the highest point or the lowest point will be equal to 0. So take the derivative dy1 upon dx. So the derivative is equal to this one. You put it equal to 0 and find out the value of x. So the equation of x is this one. And then you simplify it, it becomes this one. So the 100 is cancelled out. The 100 is cancelled out. Okay. And the final equation for x is this one. What is x? The distance of the highest point or the lowest point from the beginning of the curve, BVC. Okay, so this is the equation for x. Now take this equation and put it in the equation for y1. So put it here again. Okay, so take the equation of x, put it in the equation of y1. Y1 will be equal to this. Okay, so you have the distance from the beginning of the curve for the highest or the lowest point, and you have the difference in elevation from the beginning of the curve for the highest or the lowest point. In both the equations, you need what? You need L, length of the curve, you need G1 and G2. So if you need these, if you know these three things, you can calculate the distance and the elevation of the beginning and the end of the curve. Sorry, the beginning sorry, the distance and elevation of the highest or the lowest point of the curve from the beginning. Okay, and again, all gradients are put in percentage here. You see, 100 was already there. 100 is cancelled out, so you don't need to convert anything. Just put it as it is, percentage. Okay, let us do an example here. Okay, and I will try to do the calculations in more details than what is shown in the slide. So pay attention, and this will also help you to understand the concept of stationing in meters. Okay, and stationing in meters. So pay attention. Okay, it may be helpful for tomorrow. So we have a gradient minus 2.5% plus 1%. So it's a sag curve. Length of the curve 180 meters. L is given. G1 minus 2.5, G2 1, L is 180 meters. PVI station 100 plus 00. And this is in meters. You see, one dimension is given in meters, so everything is in meters now. So PVI station is 100 stations and one station is 30 meters. And PVI elevation is 100 meters. 100 meters. Okay. We have to find out the station elevation of the lowest point. Why lowest point? Because it's a sag curve. So sag curve will be like this, right? It will be like this. So you have to check for the lowest point because the curve is going downwards. The curvature is going downwards. So you will check for the lowest point. The first thing we will do is find out the x and y1 values. So for x we have the equation. Okay. I need L and G1 and G2. So L is 180, G1 minus 2.5, G2 is 1. You put them, x is 128.6 meters. Okay. Then equation for y1, for now forget about this. Okay, yes. Then we will find out y1. Again, you know L1, G1, G2. Y1 is minus 1.61 meters. Minus indicates that I have to subtract. Okay, so don't worry. Minus comes, let it come. Y1 can be minus or plus, no problem. Okay, I will put it as it is in the next step. Now, these values are from BVC. X is from BVC and y1 is also from BVC. X is the distance from BVC. Y1 is a difference in elevation from BVC. Okay, so I still, this is not a station and elevation. These are just simple distance and difference in heights. Okay, station is from the 0 point. Okay, this is not a station. This is the distance from BVC. So first of all, I have to find out the station of BVC. Then at that station, I will add x value. Okay, and then I will find out the elevation of BVC, and then in that elevation, I will add y1. Okay, so I will get the elevation of, because station and elevation are from datum. Okay, so first of all, I have to find out the station and elevation of BVC from datum, and then I will add x and y1 to get the station and elevation of the lowest point. Okay. The station elevation means find it from the 0 point, from the datum. Okay, from all the elevation, from the point where all the elevation and stations are taken. So this is not the station and this is not the elevation. These are just simple differences from BVC. Horizontal difference and the vertical difference. That's it. So let us first of all find out the station of BVC. Okay. They have given me station of PVI. PVI is 100. Station of PVI is 100 plus 00. Okay, BVC is, what is the distance between PVI and BVC? I told you PVI is in the middle of the curve. Middle of the curve. So the distance between PVI and BVC is half of the length, L by 2. L by 2. So the length is 180 meters. Okay, you divide by 2, you get 90 meters. Okay, now 90 meters equals how many stations? 3 stations. One station is how many? 30 meters. So 90 means 3 stations. Okay. So from PVI you subtract 3 stations. Okay. So BVC will be 100 plus 00, which is the station of PVI, minus 3 stations for 90 meters. So the station of BVC will be 97 plus 00. Okay, then in that you add the x value for the lowest point. So for the lowest point, it will be 97 plus 00. Add the x value. X is what? 128.6 meters. Now 120 meters is 4 stations. 128 meters, 4 stations. So 4 stations plus, or let me, yeah, you can understand, I think. So 4 station, 120 meter means 4 stations plus how much is remaining? So from 128, 120 is 4 stations. Then the remaining is 8.6. So 4 plus 8.6. So the lowest point will have a station of 97 plus 4, meaning 101 plus 8.6. 101 plus 8.6. This is the station of the lowest point. Okay, so X was 128.6. Out of 128, I took the complete number of stations, which was for 120, 4 stations. So 97 plus 4, 101. The remaining, so 101.6. Okay, in meters. Then the elevation. Now you need to calculate the elevation of BVC. See, BVC is here. This is BVC. Okay, and this is PVI. The elevation of PVI is 100. Okay, from PVI, how much difference in elevation I have for BVC? G1 into X, right? G1 into X. This is G1, and how much will be X? How much is the distance between PVI and BVC? It is L by 2, right? So G1 into L by 2. Okay, so in PVI elevation, I will add G1 L by 2. Why I will add? Because you see PVI is below BVC. So when you are going from PVI to BVC, you have to add. So elevation of BVC will be 100 plus G1, which is 2.5, and divide by 100 to convert to fractions, multiply by L by 2, which is 90 meters. Okay, so when you calculate this, I think it comes out to be 102.25 meters. So the elevation of BVC is 102.25 meters. This is the elevation. The previous one was station elevation. Then in this one, add Y1 in the elevation of BVC. Let me just make it clear here. Okay, somebody may see it later. So this is BVC elevation. Okay, now in this one you add Y1. Okay, so for the lowest point elevation, you will have 102.25 minus 1.61. Why I am doing minus? Because this is the lowest point, so it is downward, and Y1 is also negative, so this is indicating me that I have to subtract. Okay, so 102.25 minus 1.61 will give you, I think I have calculated 100.64. So the elevation of the lowest point is 100.64 meters. Done. So I'm stopping here. We will meet after the test on Thursday. Test tomorrow. The link will start to show at 3:50 and it will keep on showing till 5. Okay, so during that time you can start anytime, but you have to finish, before 5. Otherwise, you will be counted late. So you can start when the link is open. So link will open at 3:50, 3:50. Okay. So everybody has the same numericals, but the values are different. So with the quiz at the end, you will see a sheet, a Word file, where in front of your ID, you will have the values which you are going to use in the numerical. Okay, so you download the sheet and you will solve the numericals according to that. Okay, I will also upload that sheet before the quiz in the Teams as well. Say if because of some reason you cannot download the file from Blackboard, you can see it on the Teams. Secondly, somebody pointed out a very good point in the previous section. If you are doing mass Hall calculations, okay, you can use Excel sheet, and it is better to use Excel sheet because you are repeating the calculation. So if you are doing it with calculator, every time you have to put the new values and it will waste time. Use the Excel sheet. If you want, you can upload the Excel sheet itself. You don't have to take picture or anything. Do it in Excel sheet, upload it. Okay, directly. Okay, but if you want to do it by hand, I will accept it. I will accept handwritten work. I will accept pictures. I will accept Excel files, but the calculation must be shown. Okay, if it is repetitive, just show a sample. And the last thing is, do not use the function tool in the Blackboard when you are writing your calculations. Okay, if you can write it as a text, fine, but do not use a function tool because it was messing up the answers last time. Okay, do not use a function tool. Just either write it as text or do it and upload it. Okay, so I'm going for the attendance now. Mohammed Al-Ajab.
Yes, doctor. Present.
Zahra Ali Ahmad. Balkis Muhammad. Mahdi Abdulillah.
Here.
Hala Munir. If you see your name on the screen, you can raise your hand, okay? Faye Ibrahim. Fatma Muhammad. Huda Ahmad. Huda is there, right? Fatma is there, Huda is there. Latifa Hassan. Manal Yasin. Muzun Faisal. Manal is here and Muzun is here, okay. Noor Tawfiq. Okay. Mohammad Jafar. And Bayan Kadim. Okay, Bayan Kadim is here. Okay, anybody missed from this section? We're done from this section. I'm going to section 1 now. People from section 2 can leave, or they should down their hand. Okay, put down their hand. People from section 1. Anybody from section 1?
Dr.
Anas.
Faisal Salah, section 1.
Okay, Faisal Salah and Anas, right? Faisal Salah, okay, done. And Anas. Okay, Anas done. Faisal and Anas are done. Yusuf Abdullah, okay. Yusuf Abdullah Yusuf. No, Yusuf Abdullah Muhammad. Okay, Yusuf, you are done. Okay, so all the best for tomorrow.
Dictor.
Yeah.
Dictor, from where did we got the 3 and the 4 plus 8.6 in the calculation?
Say again.
Dictor, from where did we got the 3? 100 minus the 3. From where did we got the 3?
Because we had to subtract L minus 2, L upon 2. So L is 180 meters. So L upon 2 will be 90 meters. And 90 meters means how many stations? 3 stations, right? One station is 30 meters. So 90 meters is 3 stations. Okay. So 97 stations minus, 100 stations minus 3 stations. So you got 97. Okay.
What
Then
about
for
the
X, the X was 128.6. So in 128, how many stations we can have? 90 is 3 stations, and 4 stations will make 120 meters. So 120 meters is 4 stations. Now from 128.6, 120 is equal to 4 stations. So how much is remaining? 8.6. So the distance became 4 plus 8.6. So sorry, the station became 4 plus 8.6. And then you added in 97 stations. So 97 plus 4 means 101 stations plus 8.6. Okay, got it?
Okay. Dictor, what about the tutorial? Because I didn't understand anything.
Which tutorial?
The tutorial, question 4. How can we find after that the balance point? I want to convert it to meter, to foot.
You did some calculations, right?
Yeah, I did it, but
Can you
I
show it
did
to-
something. Just wait a minute.
So in the tutorial, okay, first of all, you have the graph. This is a tutorial. You have the values. You can plot the graph and you can see which points are the balance points yourselves. Okay, like you don't have to rely on the calculations. Okay, since you have the values, you can plot the graph and you can see the values yourself. Okay, so for example, your graph, I will just make it here. Okay, for example, your graph looks like this. Okay, now on this graph, you make a line which is 150 meters. So let's say this is the line of 150 meters. 150 meters was the free haul, right? 150 meters was the free haul. So this line is 150 meters. Now you see where this line is touching the graph. Okay, you see I'm moving this line up and down. So if I put this line here, is it touching the graph? No. If I move this line upward, is it touching the graph? No. So I keep on moving it upward until it touches both points on the graph. So wherever it touches both points on the graph, these are my free haul points, and the y value at this will be your the y value at the free haul point. Okay, so this is the graphical method. This is the graphical method, and since you have all the values, you can apply this method. Okay, if you want to do it by calculation, then the two points between which you are finding out the free haul was 9 plus 18, I think, and the other one was what, 17 plus 19, right? These are 2 points, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so this is how many stations? 9 and 17. How many stations?
How many stations?
Yeah,
I think
17
5.
minus 9 is 17 minus 9 is 8, right? 17 minus 9 is 8. Okay, so
yes.
the station is 8 plus 01, right? Between these 2 points, I have 8 plus 01 station, right?
Why 01? Yeah. 18 minus 9.
18 and
Okay.
19. Okay.
Okay.
Then you subtract 5 stations because of 150 meters, right? 150 meters is 5 stations. So from 8 plus 01, you subtract 5. You will have how much? 3 plus 01. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Then I said you divide it into half. Okay. So 3 plus 01 means how much distance? 3 means 90 meters and then 1 meter. 3 station means 90 meters and 1 meter. So 3 plus 01 means 91 meters, right? You divide by 2, you will get what? 45.5.
I get this value.
Yeah.
I found this value. Okay, after that.
Then 45.5 means how much in stations? So 45 means 1 station plus 16 meters, right? I will round up. I'll round off. Okay. So 15 point, instead of having 15.5, I'll say 16. Okay. So 45 means 30 plus 16, right?
30 plus 16, why?
I'm rounding off. So 45 is what? 45.5 means what? 30 plus 30 meters plus 5.5, 15.5 meters, right? 30 meters plus 15.5 meters, right?
I didn't understand why.
1 plus 15.5. Now you get it?
Yeah, okay. Now okay.
Yeah, okay. So instead of writing 15.5, I'll write 16, round off. Okay? You round off. So it will be now 1 plus 16, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
1
now
plus 16.
In 9 plus 18, you add 1 plus 16. In 9 plus 18, add 1 plus 16. Okay. So 9 plus 18, 9 plus 18 plus 1 plus 16. So 9 plus 1 means 10. Right?
Yeah, 10 plus
16 and 18, you add, you get how much? 34, right?
Right.
So 10 plus 34. 10 plus 34, you cannot have 10 plus 34. Then you will have 11 plus 4, right? Correct?
Yeah, okay.
In the book, they are saying 11 plus 06, right?
Yeah. 11
okay,
plus 0.
Do the same
No,
thing
11 plus 6, Doctor. 11 plus 6, not 06.
What?
11 plus 6.
Same thing, same thing.
Same thing.
You write the 0, don't write the 0, it doesn't matter. 6 is 6.
Okay.
Okay. Then 17 minus 19. 17 plus 19 minus 1 plus 16. Okay, so 17 plus 19 minus 1 plus 16. Okay, so 17 minus 1 and 19 minus 16 will give you how much? 19 minus 16 will give you 3, right? So 18 plus 3 or 18 plus 03, same thing. Okay, got it?
Victor, it's a plus, right?
Yeah,
17
plus.
plus 19 plus 1 plus 16.
No, minus. You are going down. You are going back. You're going back. If you go forward, then you are in the other section. You are going out forward. We are trying to find out in the middle, right?
Right. So 17 minus 1 is...
No, minus 1 is 18. 17 minus 1 is 18.
No, 17 minus 1 is 16.
18. Oh, sorry, 16. Yeah, sorry. 16. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
16. Okay.
Okay.
So I think in the book they gave it 16 plus 0 something. 16 plus 6, right?
6. Yeah, 16 plus 6.
Okay. So it's clear now?
Yeah, okay. Victor,
Okay.
after that, it's 11 meters. So I convert it also, the 11, the price, the overall price.
$11 per?
Yeah, per meter.
Per
Cube.
meter?
Per
cubic
meter
meter,
cube.
yeah, cubic meter per station, per cubic meter station, right?
So I convert it also?
No, everything is already in cubic meter and stations. Why do you convert it?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.